The alien dreadship drifted silently through the void, its hull swallowing starlight like a moving shadow. Jagged armor plates lined its surface, not for beauty, but intimidation. This was a vessel designed to terrify long before it destroyed. Admiral Zarek Threx stood on the command platform, his towering frame wrapped in ceremonial armor etched with golden war sigils. Four unblinking eyes stared at the holographic display before him. What remained a human scout vessel, torn apart moments earlier. "Scan for survivors," he ordered. Moments passed. One life sign detected. A technician replied. Threx's mandibles twitched. "Retrieve it." The Varkal Dominion had crushed hundreds of civilizations over 10 millennia. Entire species reduced to museum relics. They had never lost a campaign. And now, for the first time, they had encountered humans. They expected disappointment. The lone survivor was dragged into the hangar by 4 armored soldiers. He was unconscious, limb between them, smaller than most warriors of the Dominion. Dark hair, scarred face, rough beard. His uniform was simple, lacking rank symbols or bright colors. One soldier ripped a metal insignia from his chest and tossed it aside. To them, it meant nothing. On Earth, it meant everything. Crossed rifles, laurel wreath, a quiet mark worn only by those who kill from distances most soldiers feared to imagine. Staff Sergeant Ethan Cole, age 35, a sniper, a ghost. He woke slowly. Pain throbbed behind his eyes. His tongue tasted like copper. Ethan did not move. He did not open his eyes. His breathing stayed slow and shallow. Training kicked in instantly. Unknown location. Unknown captors. Stay still. Listen. Footsteps echoed outside the chamber. Heavy, rhythmic, metallic. Voices followed. Sharp clicking sounds layered with hissing undertones. Alien. Insect-like. The air felt sterile, overprocessed. And beneath it all, a deep vibration. Massive engines humming to the walls. A ship. Big one. Ethan cracked his eyelids just enough to gather fragments of detail. A small cell. No windows. Dark alloy walls. Cold blue light spilling from above. No furniture. No restraints. Yet, they'd stripped him of everything. Weapons. Comms. Gear. Even his boots. He wore only the thin thermal layer beneath his uniform. He sat up slowly. Fear never came. Fear was for civilians. For people who hadn't spent years memorizing how to survive behind enemy lines. For people who hadn't already accepted death as a possible outcome. This was just another problem. He stood, testing the room inch by inch. The walls vibrated faintly. Energy shielding, most likely. The door had no handle. A vent high above. A narrow observation slit. Currently sealed from the outside. Ethan chose a corner where he could see both the door and the vent, then sat down and waited. Waiting was his specialty. Once in Kandahar, he had remained motionless for nearly 5 days inside a collapsed building, breathing through a cracked pipe, waiting for a warlord who never arrived until the 5th sunrise. Patience killed more enemies than bullets. The aliens didn't know that. To them, he was soft, fragile, weak, no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. They measured strength wrong. Hours passed. Then more. Ethan listened, counted footsteps, noted intervals. 30-minute patrol cycle. Engine pitch shifts every few hours. Course corrections. A food tray slid through a slot. Gray paste. Chemical smell. He waited, then ate. Fuel was fuel. Days blurred together. Ethan slept lightly. Learned constantly. Every vibration, every sound, every pattern etched itself into his mind. He was mapping the ship without leaving the room. On the 5th cycle, the door opened. 6 armored soldiers waited outside, towering shell-covered, armed with glowing rifles. He rose calmly. Restraint snapped around his wrists. Good. Movement meant information. They marched him through long corridors, past crew members who stopped to stare. Some made mocking clicks. Others watched silently. They brought him before the fleet commander. Admiral Threx loomed above him on a raised platform, eyes glittering with cold curiosity. "You will be evaluated," The translator droned. Your species will be measured. Ethan met the alien's gaze, said nothing. The shuttle ride revealed their destination, a colossal orbital arena wrapped around a crimson planet. When the doors opened, noise flooded in. Thousands of aliens. An arena vast enough to swallow stadiums. Purple sand beneath his feet. A voice echoed. The human will fight. Unarmed. 3 opponents. Massive gates opened. The beast charged. Ethan inhaled. Let's teach them patience. The first beast hit the sand like a meteor. It was larger than Ethan expected. For tons of muscle and plated hide, metal tusks curving forward like siege blades. Each step cracked the arena floor. The crowd roared, clicking and shrieking in anticipation. They wanted blood. Ethan didn't move. He stood barefoot in the violet sand, shoulders loose, eyes calm. He had faced charging trucks, suicide bombers, wild dogs trained to kill. Size never scared him. Speed mattered. The creature bellowed and charged. Fast. Faster than something that big had any right to be. At 10 meters, Ethan moved. Not away, sideways. The tusks tore through empty air where his chest had been a heartbeat earlier. As the beast thundered past, Ethan leapt, grabbing one tusk and using its own momentum to swing himself upward. The crowd gasped. He landed on the creature's armored back, knees digging in, arms snapping around the thick neck joint beneath its skull plating. No choke, too thick. Instead, pressure, nerve compression, blood flow restriction. Training drilled into bone memory. The beast bucked violently, smashing its body into ground, into the arena wall, trying to crush him. Ethan adjusted, rolled with the movement, never loosening his grip. 30 seconds. The creature's charge slowed. 40 seconds. Its legs trembled. Then it collapsed. Dead weight slammed into sand. Silence rolled through the arena like shock waves. The second gate exploded open. Then the third. The remaining beasts were smarter. They didn't charge blindly. They split, one circling wide, the other advancing slowly, tusks scraping the ground. The crowd's excitement returned, louder than before. 2 on 1. Ethan exhaled. Good. They attacked together. The first lunged. Ethan sprinted toward it. That hesitation, that half-second confusion, was all he needed. He dove low, rolled beneath its tusks, and came up behind the second beast, scooping sand into its eyes. The creature screamed, swinging wildly. Its tusks slammed into the first beast's ribs with a sickening crack. Both collapsed. Ethan didn't waste time. He mounted the blinded creature, locked his arm deep beneath its jaw plating, twisted hard, and drove pressure into the nerve cluster he'd already identified. 1 minute later, it stopped moving. The last beast staggered to its feet, furious now, blood dripping from cracked armor. It charged. Ethan waited. 10 meters. 5. At the last instant, he dropped, rolled, and let physics do the rest. The beast slammed headfirst into the arena wall. Bone shattered. Ethan was on it before it could recover. 30 seconds. Over. He stood alone. 3 monsters lay dead. The arena was silent. Admiral Threx leaned forward, his 4 eyes wide with something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. This requires further testing, he muttered. Ethan was dragged away, thrown into a larger cell this time. A bed, water, medical supplies. They feared him now, but didn't yet understand him. Over the next 2 weeks, the tests continued. Different creatures, different environments. Fast ones, venomous ones, pack hunters. Each time, Ethan survived. Each time he held back. He bled. He staggered. He made it look close. That was the trick. Make them think they'd seen his limit. The guards relaxed. Weapons lowered. Chains loosened. Ethan listened. Learned. Mapped corridors by counting steps. Learned shift changes. Guard habits. Emergency procedures. He learned their language slowly. Stop. Move. Obey. Weapon. War. That last word came up often. The Dominion was losing ships. Rebellions burned on the outer systems. On the 16th cycle, they made a mistake. 2 guards escorted him instead of 4. They joked, clicked, laughed. Ethan moved. His elbow crushed the first guard's throat joint. The second screamed briefly, before Ethan twisted his weapon arm until the bone snapped. 2 bodies hit the floor. Ethan stripped them quickly. Weapons, keycard, comms. The alarm sounded seconds later. Too late. He vanished into maintenance tunnels, crawling through darkness and steam until he found storage. And there, his rifle. He cradled it like an old friend. M110, untouched, 3 magazines. Enough. Ethan smiled for the first time since capture. The hunt had begun. The rifle felt right in Ethan's hands. Familiar weight, familiar balance. While alarms echoed to the station above, he worked in silence, checking the chamber, the optics, the action. The aliens hadn't modified it. Probably assumed it was primitive, ceremonial even. That arrogance would cost them dearly. Ethan packed fast. Ammunition, rations, medical kit, a compact explosive charge, a cracked alien comm unit he suspected he could repurpose later. Then he vanished back into the maintenance tunnels. For 12 hours, he became a shadow. Guards rushed past overhead, boots pounding, weapons charged. Ethan stayed low, moved slow, breathed shallow. He navigated by memory alone, counted junctions, turns, pressure changes in the air. Finally, the tunnels opened into a vast chamber. The hangar, rows of alien ships rested on magnetic cradles. Fighters, transports, bombers. Guard towers rose above the floor. Floodlights bathed everything in white-blue glow. And there, tucked into a far corner, his recon craft, damaged, patched, but intact. Ethan dropped prone on a raised service walkway and set up his rifle. Distance to far wall, 200 meters. Easy. He studied the guards through the scope. 20 total. Predictable patrol loops. No hard cover. Weapons pointed outward, never expecting an attack from inside. Classic mistake. He waited. 3 hours. When the moment came, it came clean. The first shot cracked once. A guard dropped. The second shot followed before the sound reached anyone else. Another fell. Confusion rippled below. Heads turned. Weapons raised. Too late. Ethan moved targets smoothly, breathing steady, trigger discipline perfect. 5 down before the alarm screamed. The hangar exploded into chaos. Guards firing wildly, shouting orders, scattering for cover that didn't exist. Ethan never fired twice from the same angle. 20 guards. 45 seconds. Silence. He waited 1 full minute. No movement. Then he moved. He sprinted across the hangar floor, staying low, weaving between ships, and reached his craft. The cockpit welcomed him like home. Screens flickering alive, systems booting. Engines functional. Hull compromised but stable. Weapons offline. The hangar doors were sealed. Ethan glanced at the explosive. Good enough. He planted it on the control panel, set a short timer, and ran. The explosion rocked the chamber. Systems failed. Emergency protocols kicked in. The massive hangar doors began to open. Air screamed toward space. Ethan punched the throttle. The craft lifted, scraped metal against metal, shuddered violently, then burst free. Stars exploded into view. Alarms blared in his cockpit. 6 enemy fighters launched in pursuit. He didn't fight. He ran. The red planet below filled his viewport. Thick atmosphere, dense cities glowing like embers. Energy bolts streaked past him. One clipped his wing. Warning lights flared. The ship spun. Ethan wrestled the controls, fighting gravity, friction, physics. Atmosphere engulfed the hull in fire. Altitude dropped fast. 10 kilometers. 5. He made the call. He ejected. The cockpit blew away. The seat fired upward as the ship spiraled down, exploding in a fireball that lit the sky. Ethan descended under a parachute into a city of towering alien spires. He landed hard, rolled, and disappeared into shadows. The hunt resumed. For 3 days, Ethan moved like smoke. He traveled by night, hid by day, slept in ruins and tunnels, ate carefully, listened constantly. Searchlights swept streets. Soldiers marched. Announcements echoed, calling him a threat, a demon, a monster. They never saw him. On the fourth day, he reached his objective, the broadcast tower. It rose from the city's heart like a needle piercing the sky. Antennas, dishes, signal arrays glowing with power. The most secure location on the planet. Ethan took position 500 meters away. Through his scope, he counted 32 patrols, 8 fixed guards, cameras everywhere, and gaps, always gaps. Night fell. Ethan fired. Guards dropped. Cameras went dark. Panic spread outward while Ethan moved inward. He slipped through a service door, climbed stairwells, neutralized guards silently when needed. Step by step. At the top floor, 2 guards spotted him. They died before they could speak. Ethan entered the control room. Alien technicians froze. He raised his rifle. "Leave," he said in their language. They ran. He activated the broadcast. All channels. The red recording light blinked on. Ethan looked into the camera. "My name is Ethan Cole," he said calmly. "You captured me. You underestimated me." The door behind him shook. "I escaped your prisons. I crossed your cities unseen. I stand now in your most secure tower." Cracks spread across the door. "I am not unique. I am not special. I am just one human soldier." The door burst open. "As a species, we do not surrender. We do not forget. And we do not forgive." Guards swarmed him. Ethan smiled as they dragged him down. The message had already gone out. To the Dominion, to the galaxy, and to Earth. The war had begun. Ethan woke to silence. Not the sterile quiet of a cell, but something heavier, tense, controlled, afraid. His restraints were different this time. Thicker, energy-bound. His arms and legs locked into a gravity field that pinned him to a reinforced platform. The chamber around him was vast, circular, and lined with observation windows. Behind the glass, figures watched, high-ranking ones. Admiral Threx stood at the center of them all, his posture rigid, his armor freshly polished, as if dignity could hide uncertainty. "You have caused damage beyond calculation," the translator spoke. Ethan smiled faintly. That was the idea. The room reacted. Clicks, hisses, angry murmurs. Threx stepped forward. "Your broadcast has reached every Dominion system. Panic spreads. Rebellions grow." Ethan met his gaze. "Good." The Admiral's mandibles tightened. "You are one organism." Ethan nodded. "That's what scares you." They interrogated him for days. Not with pain, yet, but with questions. Endless questions. How many humans like you? What weapons does Earth possess? How fast can your fleets travel? Ethan answered carefully. Some truths, some half-truths, some lies wrapped in confidence. Enough to keep them guessing. Meanwhile, far beyond Dominion space, Earth received the signal. It broke through civilian networks first. Emergency channels. Then military encryption shattered as analysts realized what they were seeing. A human, alive, captured, defiant. The Pentagon went into lockdown. Admirals, generals, intelligence chiefs. They watched in silence as Ethan's face filled the screens. I am not special. The room disagreed. Every sniper in the room knew that posture, that calm. This man had survived, and the galaxy had noticed. Back in Dominion space, the consequences came fast. Outer systems revolted. Slave species rioted. Entire fleets were recalled to defend borders that had never needed defending before. All because of one human who refused to break. Threx watched reports scroll endlessly across tactical displays. For the first time, he admitted to his council, the Dominion faces an enemy that does not fear us. Ethan remained confined, but not forgotten. Guards avoided his eyes now. Scientists studied him behind shields. He became a myth inside the station. The human, the one who killed monsters, the one who escaped. And while they feared him, they also needed him. A month later, Threx returned. You will speak again, the Admiral said, to your people. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You think I'll help you? You will warn them, reveal our strength, Threx insisted. Ethan chuckled. You really don't understand humans. They set the broadcast anyway. Ethan leaned toward the camera. "This is Staff Sergeant Ethan Cole," he said. "If you're watching this from Earth, don't negotiate." The transmission cut. The damage was done. Earth mobilized. Ships long hidden in classified hangars rolled into the light. Prototypes finished overnight. Alliances formed at record speed. Humanity had been warned. The Dominion had made the mistake of announcing itself. Back in his cell, Ethan lay back and closed his eyes. He had done his part. The rest was coming. The Dominion had ruled through fear for 10,000 years. Fear was simple, efficient. Once a species broke, it stayed broken. Humans were different. Admiral Threx studied the intelligence reports in silence. Rebellion indicators flashed red across multiple systems. Slave worlds were no longer quiet. Even core territories showed unrest. All because of one prisoner. Ethan Cole. The scientists demanded access. The generals demanded execution. The politicians demanded leverage. Threx chose none of them. Instead, he watched. Humans had not sent fleets yet. No declarations. No ultimatums. They were waiting. That terrified him. Ethan noticed a change in his captors. Guards doubled. Patrols tightened. Cameras tracked him obsessively. Yet no one touched him. No punishment. No pain. He was more valuable alive than dead. One cycle. A Dominion analyst entered his chamber alone. A mistake. "Why?" she asked through the translator. "Why resist when surrender would preserve your species?" Ethan met her eyes. "Because survival isn't living," he said, "and freedom is worth the risk." She left shaken. Days later, Threx returned. "You have become a symbol," the Admiral said. "Symbols must be controlled." Ethan smiled. "Good luck." The Dominion made their move. A public trial. Broadcast across the Empire. They would show the galaxy the human broken. Ethan was escorted into a grand chamber filled with nobles, warriors, and observers from conquered species. Chains bound him. The judge spoke. Charges read. Sentencing prepared. Then the doors exploded. Human stealth dropships tore into the chamber, weapons hot. Smoke. Fire. Precision. Humans moved like a storm with a plan. Ethan broke free as a rifle skidded across the floor to him. He caught it midair. Smiled. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, Threx lay wounded, staring up at Ethan. "You warned us," the Admiral whispered. Ethan nodded. "You just didn't listen." Human forces withdrew just as fast as they came. Ethan vanished with them. The galaxy watched and learned. The extraction of Ethan Cole was not called a rescue. It was called First Contact Retaliation. Within hours of the operation, every major power in the Dominion knew the truth. Humans were not only real, they were organized, patient, and already inside their borders. Human fleets did not appear in dramatic waves. They appeared quietly. Small task groups, deep space insertions, electronic warfare strikes that shut down sensors without firing a shot. Dominion commanders found their systems blind before they ever saw an enemy. The war did not begin with explosions. It began with silence. Admiral Threx survived his wounds, but his authority did not. The Dominion High Council stripped him of command within days. He had overseen the greatest intelligence failure in their recorded history. One human prisoner had turned into a galaxy-wide uprising. Slave species stopped paying tribute. Outlying fleets defected. Worlds once held by fear suddenly remembered what hope felt like. Because humans had done something no one else ever had. They proved the Dominion could bleed. Ethan Cole was debriefed aboard a human carrier hidden beyond charted space. Doctors cleared him. Intelligence officers questioned him for days. Strategists listened more than they spoke. He told them everything. The arenas, the patrol patterns, the psychology. They don't adapt fast, Ethan explained. They rely on overwhelming force. Once that fails, they panic. Earth listened and adjusted. The first human strikes were surgical. Supply depots vanished. Command ships lost navigation mid-jump. Entire Dominion battalions surrendered after their leadership was removed from orbit by precision kinetic strikes. Human soldiers did not fight for conquest. They fought for denial. Deny control. Deny fear. Deny inevitability. Dominion propaganda collapsed under the weight of reality. Broadcasts meant to intimidate instead showed burning fleets and empty thrones. Across the galaxy, conquered species began whispering a new word. Human, not as prey, as protection. Ethan returned to service within weeks. He refused medals, refused promotions. He requested redeployment. Frontline advisory. I started this, he told command. I finish it. On the battlefield, humans rewrote doctrine. Snipers shut down command chain from kilometers away. Special forces destabilized entire planets without open invasion. Drones hunted ships mid-jump using predictive AI trained on Dominion, habits Ethan had helped decode. The Dominion had never fought an enemy that learned faster than it did. They had never fought an enemy willing to wait. Admiral Threx watched from confinement as report after report confirmed inevitable. The Dominion was losing, not quickly, but permanently. One cycle, a human delegation entered a cell. They did not threaten him. They did not insult him. They offered terms. Withdraw from human claimed space. Release all captive humans. Dismantle the arenas. Enforce servitude. Threx laughed bitterly. You do not want peace, he said. A human officer replied calmly. No, we want security. The distinction mattered. As the war dragged on, Dominion citizens began asking forbidden questions. Why were humans still standing? Why were they never afraid? Why did they fight even when outnumbered? The answer spread quietly. Because humans did not fight to dominate. They fought so no one else could. Ethan watched one such battle from a ridge overlooking a liberated city. Alien civilians emerged from hiding as Dominion banners fell. A child, six-limbed, trembling, approached him. You're human? The translator asked softly. Ethan knelt. Yeah, he said. The child hesitated, then touched his sleeve. You stayed. Ethan nodded. Yeah, he repeated. We stay. Far above, human fleets held the sky. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Dominion faced something it could not crush. Resolve. And they were finally beginning to understand. The Dominion did not fall in flames. It fell in silence. One system at a time, their borders withdrew. Fleets retreated not because they were destroyed, but because they were no longer obeyed. Command structures collapsed. Subject species stopped responding. Tribute ships never arrived. Fear had been the glue holding the empire together, and fear no longer worked. Ethan Cole stood on the observation deck of a human task carrier, watching a Dominion star finally dim on the tactical display. Another withdrawal. Another system freed, without a single shot fired. Humanity had learned something critical. You need to conquer an empire built on fear. You only needed to prove it could be resisted. Months earlier, the Dominion High Council requested negotiations. Not demands. Not threats. A request. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a dead system with no habitable worlds, chosen intentionally by humans. No home advantage. No intimidation. Ethan was not part of the delegation. He was invited anyway. You're the reason they're here, an admiral told him. Ethan shook his head. I'm the reason they started paying attention. The chamber was massive, cold, and evenly divided. Human delegates on one side, Dominion leaders on the other. No weapons, no armor. Admiral Threx, older now, scarred, stripped of his finery, sat among them. When he saw Ethan, his mandibles tightened. The negotiations were short. Humans did not demand territory. They demanded distance. No Dominion fleets within defined human space. No capture of human citizens. No forced servitude of anyone. Compliance would mean survival. Refusal would mean extinction, not from human wrath, but from the uprisings already spreading through the empire. Threx understood. He signed. The treaty was broadcast across the galaxy. The arenas were dismantled within weeks. Chains were removed. Prisoners were released, millions of them. Entire species looked to the stars and whispered the same name. Human. Ethan returned to Earth quietly. No parade. No statues. No speeches. He didn't want them. He returned to the hills of his childhood, where the sky was blue and the ground smelled of rain and grass. He walked roads where no one knew his face, where no one feared him. Sometimes he watched the stars. He knew humanity's reputation now. Predators avoided human space. Empires recalculated. Young civilizations studied human history carefully, not because humans were the strongest, but because humans responded. Years passed. Humanity did not become conquerors. They became something far more dangerous. A line across a galaxy when slavers advanced too far, when empires overreached, when ancient powers assumed inevitability. Someone would ask a simple question: have the humans been informed? And most of the time, that was enough. Ethan aged quietly. He trained recruits, taught patience, taught restraint, taught the most important lesson of all. You don't fight to prove strength, he told them. You fight so no one ever doubts your resolve. On the anniversary of the treaty, a Dominion envoy visited Earth. Threx did not come. He was dead. The envoy brought a gift instead: a small metal insignia recovered from the first arena, crossed rifles, laurel wreath, the symbol the Dominion had once discarded as meaningless. The envoy bowed. "We did not understand you," the translator said. "Now we do." Ethan took the badge. He didn't bow. He didn't smile. He simply nodded. That night, under a sky full of stars, Ethan placed the insignia back into a small wooden box alongside medals he never wore. He closed the lid. The galaxy would remember the war, but history would remember something else: that the age of unchecked empires ended the moment one human refused to kneel, not with a fleet, not with a superweapon, but with patience, resolve, and a quiet certainty that freedom was worth any cost.